All right, we have arrived at day 15, the halfway point of 30 80s metal riffs in 30 days. Today we're taking a look at the title track from the Blue Murder record, featuring John Sykes, of course, one of my favorite players of all time. This was 1989, after John left Whitesnake, or got fired from Whitesnake, whatever you want to believe. And this album is still one of my favorite albums of all time, the self-titled Blue Murder record. Now, I had wanted to do a Blue Murder riff for this series, but I wasn't sure which one I was going to do. And my buddy over at dinosaurrockguitar.com, check it out if you haven't. If you're into this kind of music, you should check that out. dinosaurrockguitar.com. We call him Dino Dave over there. He's the founder of that site, and it's been around for a long time. And we talk about guitars and gear and technique and great players like John Sykes all the time. Recording, songwriting, all that stuff. But he recommended this riff. So, Dino Dave, this one's out to you, buddy. And this is a great one, and it's in drop D. And I'm glad that he said this, because I had actually taught this riff before in an old video. It's 11 John Sykes riffs you gotta know, and I got it wrong. I have to say, this riff, I wasn't teaching it correctly. So, you learn some things over the years. Now, how did I figure out that I wasn't playing it correctly was, there's no footage of an up close of John's hands playing this, so you really have to listen. Now, I know the song's in drop D, so I knew that much, and I've seen a lot of guys play this on YouTube that are obviously not in drop D tuning because the frets are all off from what they should be. But the actual riff, I'm almost positive I got it 100% this time. John Sykes, if you're watching this, please correct me if I'm wrong. I would love to be proven wrong. But otherwise, this is the way I think you play it. From what I could see in the video of John playing this, his hand moves very little, so I don't think he's jumping around at all on this first part. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to play that in a sec. Make sure you're in drop D tuning for this, so drop your low E string down a whole step to D, and the rest of your guitar is in standard tuning. So make sure you're in that tuning for this lesson. Before we get going on that, there's a tab down below. Now, this tab I have handwritten only because I couldn't find any good tab out there to use. A lot of times I'll use a pre-existing tab and then modify it a little bit, but all the tab I saw was all jacked up, and it was just going to take too long to revise it. So I just have a handwritten tab for you guys on this. It's basically has two parts to it, so it's very simple. So I'll show you guys that riff, and also I've got a free sweep picking guide. You can check that in the description below as well. My free gift to you. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. All right, so let's get to it. Here's my low D string just in case. Alright, now what we're going to do is play this D power chord. It's actually an open D chord, but we're playing the low, what's become a low D note from our tuning, along with the A and the D, all open, and then a D at the D power chord at the 2nd fret and 3rd fret G and B strings. You get a nice big fat chord this way. So that's the first part, is just 2 hits. There's a little scratch in between the next 2. Like that. Now, the riff in question. Okay, what it is open low E string, which is now D, 4th fret on the low E, we'll just call it low E from here on out. Open A string, 2nd fret A, 3rd fret A, and then come back and trill between 2 and 3 on the A. So slow, that would sound like this. Now, I defy you to go and play along with the album and tell me these aren't the correct notes. And watching John's hand, this makes sense that it would be using very little movement. There's nothing going up here to the 5th fret, all staying in this one position. And when I slowed it down a little bit, I could hear this jump between those two notes. Okay, so that's the part I think everybody, including me, got wrong the first time. Okay, then the second, so here's the first part. And we're going to play that D twice again. Now we're going to do this. So there's a low D in between. They're going to play this little dyad at the 5th fret, G, 6th fret, D, and give it some vibrato. It's an F chord. Now this is another thing that I was playing like this. So you totally could, but I think John's playing it here. I was doing that like this. And I think both are legit. I just think John's doing this. And now here, so you can go slide this 5, 6 on the G and B, back half step to 4 and 5, and play the open D string now. So and then you're going to take 5 and 6 and slide up to 7 and 8, and then come back down to 5 and 6. So let me just play this part. You can also throw in the low D string here. Sounds a little heavier that way. Or just the open D string. Okay, and that's the whole riff. So let me put both parts together at a slow tempo. And one more time at normal tempo. Super cool riff. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Blue Murder, day 15 of 30 80s Metal Riffs in 30 days. What's going to be day 16? I have some idea, but regardless, it'll be a surprise to you guys. So hope you tune in, check it out, make sure and subscribe, grab the tab and the free sweep picking guide, and I'll see you next time. Rock on!